JAFZA. The visionary leadership and unparalleled acumen for growth and prosperity helped JAFZA to bloom into a world-class landmark for global trade and commerce as it is today.
How are you people? My name is Aman. I'm Client Relationship Officer at Healy Consultants Group. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my recent engagement which I've done for one of our client. So we basically set up his business in Jebel Ali Free Zone, an offshore company. So let me just give you a brief about the client and what he actually does. So he's an investor from India, and he has multiple business across the globe, and he wanted to set up a holding company in UAE so that he can own the investments and get the dividends from his global income. So we basically had a meeting with the client when the client approached us, and we kind of recommended him that he can incorporate his company in Jebel Ali Free Zone, and eventually we agreed on every terms and conditions, and we get the due diligence from the client paid, engaged us, and signed our engagement letter obviously. And once everything was done, we started the incorporation of the company. In Jebel Ali Offshore or maybe Free Zone, I would say, it usually takes around 2 to 3 weeks to get the company incorporation. But basically, most of the time where delays comes is in getting the CID approval from the Ministry of Interior. So it is a mandatory requirement for Jebel Ali Free Zone to get an approval, a CID approval, Crime Investigation Department approval from the Ministry of Interior. Once the client has it, they can travel to UAE, or if the client, because in my case, client was here in UAE. We went to meet JAFZA officials at the authorities office, and we signed the draft memorandum of associations and other incorporation documents. After that, it took around 2 weeks to get the company incorporation. Once the company was incorporated, and during that time when we were waiting for the CID approval and everything, I started, we created a synopsis of his business and what his company will going to work, and we drafted a business plan, contacted multiple international banks in UAE, and we during that time we scheduled a meeting with the bankers as well. So client had already met the bankers, so we were doing everything side by side just to reduce timeline for the engagement. So the client had already met the multiple banks. He chose one bank to go ahead with. The banker has already signed all the forms and everything, get all the KYC documents, and started the due diligence checks with their compliance. Once the company was incorporated, we informed the bank that company has been incorporated, and we shared the company documents with the bank basically. Once everything was done and everything was submitted to the bank, it took around 2 to 3 weeks for us to get the compliance approval. Once we get the compliance approval, it again took around 1 week to get the account number, and followed by another week to get the internet banking activated. During that time, we were continuously following up with the bank, like what's the update on the client bank account applications, and we got some problem because the client has already had an existing bank account with that bank. So bank were kind of curious about the transactions and everything. We provided all the documents, we provide the justification of all the transactions and everything, and once the bank was comfortable with the client applications and everything, they opened the bank account for us, and then we informed the client that the bank account is open, the bank has already sent you the account numbers and the internet banking details, Yeah, so that's all about my recent engagement which I have completed. Stay tuned for new updates and in UAE as well as around the globe.